Good evening from Yami B TV. Wishing you all well, sending loads of love as usual. Hoping your day's been the best it possibly can. Now, the story that I'm coming with now is a double-edged sword to me. On the one hand, I took the moral high ground, but on the other, by doing such a thing can lead to you having egg on your face, or it can come back to bite you up the backside, if you get what I mean. So we're going to take it back, and after I went back to Wandsworth, 217, and then I had the accident, 218, and we know that I couldn't walk or use my hands again, and they told me so, and after 5 months in hospital, I had to come back to Wandsworth to serve the rest of my sentence. So the wing that they put me on was C wing. Now, you've got one half of C wing that is vulnerable prisoners, but they haven't got their own hot plate. So what they normally do is what they have to do is, unless you're a worker on the servery, they have to bang everybody up when the vulnerable prisoners come through to get their dinner, just in case, there's men that want to assault them or beat them up or do anything they want to them, basically, because you're on Rule 43 for your own protection. So it says. So I came back, and obviously by that time I'm back up. I have to be in my cell day and night. I was doing my exercises, 5 o'clock in the morning, the boxing, the reaching, the stretching, the little ball under my feet, 3 times a day, basically. So I was actually looking better than I really felt, because we've gone through it already. I was pulling this way and pulling that way because I didn't want to look that vulnerable. Now, being disabled in prison, what I'm about to tell you, has got some real sad bits as well, and a couple along the years, like with no legs or no hands, and having seen it, you see that when they're like that in prison, and I worked out now since I've been disabled that though you can't do certain things, there's always a way that you can find with the tools that you've got to do what you have to do. So all it means is that you can't, the sad thing is, with Tony, the man I'm talking about, he's known obviously everywhere, and Dave Bridger's the other one, from back in the day. Now, but on this particular one, I came back, and obviously I got the reading and writing job. So in the morning, or in every Sunday or whatever, I get a pile of applications that tell me that there's people that want to read and write. Can I help them with this? Can they help them with that? So his name came up. So he comes out in the mornings anyway, because he's on the ones, and my cell's there, down there, further to the right, and he's down there next to the gate, the last cell there on the ones, next to the vulnerable prisoners gate. So get an application, seeing him, say, yeah, all right, Tone, sweet, know who I'm talking to already, because I've already spoken to him, and I'm believing that his injuries were caused by a booby trap bomb at war. Right, so I'm listening to bits and bobs of him, but he's one of those men, sadly, he can't cope, and a lot of vulnerable prisoners and disabled prisoners cannot cope inside prison like that, because they're always at risk of being in danger. But he never used to make things better for himself because of all the arguments he used to cause, because he's always screaming for vapes and roll-ups, and then everybody takes the moral high ground. All right, give him, look after me, look after him, which is perfectly all right for a stage, I believe now. But Tony in particular, so you think about it, he's coming out every day, he's getting caught up in arguments with people, but some of the things I witnessed happening to him as well, because they used to run past him and tip him out of his chair and run off and start laughing and things like that, and then I'll be shaking my head saying, no, don't do it that way to him. But you can't keep running off his mouth and doing things and telling people your mum this and your dad that and whatever, and things like that. But I'm saying, okay, but just give him, because I know what it feels like, but he's not helping himself, remember. So this particular person that he's got the beef with, argument with, is a well-known figure from South, I'm afraid. But yep, they've had arguments for 3 days over whatever they were arguing about. So I pieced it on those 3 times and got his word, all right, yeah. Because I'm thinking, even though Tony keeps telling me, don't worry, I can look after myself, Yami, I can cut anyone and do anyone I want, and that kind of thing. And I'm thinking, yeah, all right, Tony, like blah, 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 blah. But anyway, he's in the dinner queue. He's 3 paces in front of me. Now, the bread man, the man from South London, is at the end of the queue. He's that way at the end. So I'm about 3 bodies behind Tony, basically. So not expecting anything, thinking that everything's dead and quiet and finished now between the two of them. I hear the screams. So when I looked, I see Tony jumping over leaping over. I thought he had some stumps or skills on, like I said, if that's the best way to, sorry to be offensive or anything, if it sounds like, but he's obviously attacking the big man behind the counter. So for a minute he's struggling with him, but I can see a little kind of scratch a little bit on the big fella, but nothing really too serious. But then I saw that the big man was, giving him a few fuds. So we all kind of pieced it. The officers came down. They brought him back to his cell. They know the thing with Tony already, but they looked pissed off as well. And then the big man behind there is looking at me, yeah, and I'm saying to him, and then look what happens next. So then he's gone behind his door. They've brought him to the block, put him down the block. After 2 or 3 days, he's come back because you remember there's not many wings that house him, being in the condition he is, because he has to have the nurses there day and night, and the medication thing's very close by, that kind of thing. So that's why he's on C wing. So when he came back, obviously he got, like I said, he got a few fuds and whatnot. So what I'm saying to you is, when he came back to the wing, we all saying, right, all right, it's all finished. So we put all his kit down. I carried on to him. I said, Tony, listen, you've got to thing, and da. He going, yeah, but he punched me in the mouth, yeah, man. Look, he made it. I said, oh, Tony, but you jumped him after you told me that you wouldn't do anything. He said, 3 or 4 days later, I'm on the twos with a clipboard because I've got to get someone unlocked to do the reading and writing, basically. So I'm waiting for an officer to come on the twos. But then I was looking down onto the ones, and I saw a sight that but I knew that he could have battle now, remember that. But it looked like he come out, I'm not being funny or anything, I don't know whether I should even say it, but it looked like he come out of a Space Invaders ship, like he was on a parachute, because I see him leap out the chair and go crawling. But I'm thinking, where's he crawling to? But then I put 2 and 2 together. He was down because the big man was getting his hair cut by the barber. So my door's opposite that. So then he comes creepy, but before I could even get down to the bottom of the stairs, he leapt on the big man while he was in his seat with the cloth over him, and he's got a deep cut on his face and got it today still. So he's throwing him around, he can't get him off. It was like being gripped by some kind of, and I was watching it and I was thinking, oh no, Yummy, the bell's gone, he's come. He hasn't got hurt this time, Tony. So the other guy has. So when it's getting stopped and that, he's caused the big man, he's fighting with the staff to reach him and everything like that. And I'm thinking, yeah, I wish I would have never got involved in all this. And then they banged everyone up, put him away, and that was the end of it. But I wish now, that I wouldn't have got myself involved, because up to today now, man's got scarred it, thing. But at the same time, I felt it was my duty. But whether I was right or wrong is another thing. Coming up with a bedtime story in a minute. Sending loads of love.